Good morning. Thank you for being here this morning. This is not really a press conference that I enjoy giving, because most of the time when you think about a press conference, you want to talk about positive things. You want to talk about things like Jefferson County getting a multi-million-dollar grant. You want to talk about Jefferson County attracting a new industry, something positive. The press conference today will last about 20 minutes. I would like to ask, if you have cell phones, to please put them on vibrate or turn them off, because during the presentation there'll be audio sections that you may not hear too clearly. And if a phone rings, we might skip it entirely. The first part of this, there'll be two parts. First part will be the question that was raised at the last county commission meeting by some county commissioners on the Davis-Bacon Wage Act. Who knew about it? When did they know about it? Who was involved? And what I'm going to show is that everybody everywhere knew everything about it. Nothing was hid. There was nothing tried to be covered up or moved out of the light of county commission, school board, or anyone else. The second part of this press conference, I'll be dealing with the actual bond issue itself. As you know, there have been two resolutions that have been adopted by county commission. By state law, the mayor has 10 days in which to sign it or veto it. By state law, you cannot veto a bond resolution. So what happens is, if I don't sign it, it automatically goes in and becomes law. And that was what happens on the resolutions. The bond documents themselves, however, require the mayor's signature. And at this point in time, I have not received the bond documents, but I'm not likely to sign those documents. And I have 16 reasons why. To begin with, let's talk about the Davis-Bacon investigation that some commissioners asked for. What I'm going to show and present to you today is the information I have to show that everybody everywhere was aware of this. I think the confusion comes when we have legislative bodies and policy bodies, legislative being the county commission, policy being a school board. This building program has gone on for 12 years. And when you have different people coming into the mix, coming in and going out, coming in and going out, and you have legislators that want to be administrators and administrators that can't get anything done because of the involvement of policymakers, it makes for a cumbersome system. It makes for a program that is not coherent. We have 21 county commissioners, 7 school board members. If everybody would work together and everybody would do their job, administrators not try to become legislators, legislators not try to become administrators, things would be much smoother and we can move forward. My opinion, and my opinion only, the school board ought to concern itself with the academics of our children. For 12 years we've heard brick and mortar, salary increases, brick and mortar. When have we heard about the academics for our kids? In my opinion, the school board ought to make certain that every child has a textbook to take home with them. That's not the case in our county. That's where the school board ought to be involved. The school board ought to be providing our kids with the tools necessary for the next generation to make sure that our kids will be competitive, that they'll be able to succeed in life. They should be working about raising the academic bar. And finally, I think school boards ought to really focus on clamping down on Washington and the state and saying, get rid of these mandates and compliance issues so that we can teach these kids. We're spending all our time on compliance and we can't teach our kids. We all ought to be behind that push. County Commission, I think instead of wasting time, I've gone to them, you've gone to them, some of the commissioners here will even have to acknowledge an hour meeting will last 4 hours. For some reason, some commissioners have to make a comment after every commissioner or everybody says something, instead of moving forward with what we need to do. We've got to be more productive. County commissioners are not administrators. One such issue, as an example, would be like the last county commission meeting we had. The mayor, by state law, makes appointments. County commission is to confirm them. They should confirm them unless they have a legitimate reason why the individual being presented for confirmation does not qualify. But instead, we saw a lot of no votes on some of the people I brought up simply because county commission wanted to tell me who to put on the boards and committees. That's not right. That's not the way the process is involved. Everyone everywhere was informed on the Davis-Bacon Act, and I'm saying this to show that there's no investigation needed, that everybody knew about it, that everyone was aware of it. The point is, on this portion, is to say, quit throwing the blame around. It's a reality. It's going to cost about $750,000 more on a school building program. $700,000 or more. It doesn't matter that I knew about it. Doesn't matter that Dr. Edmonds knew. Doesn't matter that the school board knew or county commission knew. Why are we saying, well, who knew about it when they knew about it? Everybody knew about it. The point is, where do we go from here? We've got a situation now that needs to be addressed and fixed. School board needs to work on it. County commission needs to work on it. Finance department needs to. Dr. Edmonds does. Everybody needs to work together to get this resolved. We can't go back and forth. Mike, if you would, let's start with the first clip. I have 8 different clips here. This, and hold it. Pause this. This is taking from the Jefferson County Commission meeting of September the 20th, 2010. Now, there were many discussions about Davis-Bacon Wage Act prior to that and since that. But since the last county commission meeting where people were questioning who knew what when, and like I said, and I won't repeat this hopefully again, I don't want to be redundant, it's not county commission's fault. It's not school board's fault. It's just everybody needs to focus on their duties and responsibilities and let's work together. Okay, Mike, if you would go to the next clip. This is number 2, and if you'll pause that, you can see that we have chairman of county commission, we have the clerk. There's another section that will span, it just so happened it spanned the entire group, but you can see the full group of commissioners. Some are absent. You will notice here on the left, it doesn't show up here well, but it does on the computer, another DVD. That looks like School Board Commissioner Jarnigan. However, that could be refuted because you can't tell very well. This is Dr. Edmonds. This is the School Board Chairwoman Anne Marie Potts. This is our financial advisor with Cumberland Securities, Joe Ayers. I'm sitting here, and Mike Long, although you can't see it here, but you will in a second, is at the podium. You will also know that a former county commissioner, Miss Jane Davis, is here. Miss Annette Loy, school board member, is here, and then you have other people in the audience. So that was who's in attendance at the September 20th meeting. Would you go to the next clip and pause it, please? Here's clip number 3, and I'm going to let this run because the audio is very interesting. This is the finance director at that time, Mike Long, and he speaks directly to the Davis-Bacon Act. And if you would, go ahead, Mike.
Still $12 million. There was discussion on the Davis-Bacon Act wage requirements. There was concern, how much is that going to cost us? Is it worth getting these type bonds if we're going to have to pay more for labor?
Except for what's struck down.
So I talked to our current CM, our current construction manager, Rettenbach Contractors, and I asked, I said, I need some help on trying to, put a number to how much this is going to cost. Because the Davis-Bacon Act really only applies to the high school, the way we got this structured. The $26 million high school would be funded with the 2 bonds that require Davis-Bacon Act compliance. So we looked at,
Go ahead and pause it. Now, here you're hearing it yourself on September the 20th, in front of everyone. There is a discussion again, and I want to emphasize that. This has taken place prior to several times. Davis-Bacon is clearly mentioned, and it's discussed about the impact that it's going to have. If we go to the next clip 4, and pause it, please. Joe Ayers, who is with Cumberland Securities and the county financial advisor, is addressing Davis-Bacon.
This is even after taking into account the Davis-Bacon requirements, and on a present value basis in today's market, that's probably close to $8.5 million, but we can certainly run those numbers if you want to see that. There again, you all aren't making...
Okay. Now, what I'm doing is I'm giving you clips to show you that it was fully discussed and everybody's aware of it. This is fast editing. You can get a copy of the full meeting if you want to sit there for hours and watch it and pull them out. But that's the first time Mr. Ayers addresses Davis-Bacon. If we can go to clip 5 and pause it.
State.
Here again, later on in his presentation, and he was there for quite a while, he's again going to mention and address the Davis-Bacon Act.
Tells you how to pay it back. You have to comply with Davis-Bacon, which you heard from Mr. Long, requires a little bit more under your labor cost.
All right, so once again, there was a lengthy discussion about the Davis-Bacon Act. This is clip 6, and this wasn't intentional, it's just, I guess, the way it came out, but I'm thankful that it did. Back in 2010, if you'll go ahead and move this, you will see the commissioners who are present, and you can see more of the people that are in the audience.
Their bonds, and then they pay tax on the interest that you pay them every April 15th, just like they would if they had a bank CD or owned a corporate bond or a U.S. Treasury bond. Okay? Now you go, why would we sell taxable bonds? We're a county. We usually can sell tax-exempt bonds, which is true for most of your projects. Well, because with the subsidy coming back from the Treasury Department, when you look at the difference between where tax-exempt rates are and your taxable Build America bonds with the subsidy, it gets down below where your effective money for tax-free bonds can be, okay? So, and we've run those numbers. We can put those bonds out to market as regular tax-free bonds and Build America bonds, and you take whichever's the lowest cost. Now they're...
Okay, so you can see pretty full house. Some commissioners are absent from the meeting, but overall, a good majority of the commissioners that were there. If we go to clip number 7,
Minister.
Joe Ayers, once again, speaking about the Davis-Bacon Wage Act.
Rated fee to administer the drawdown of those dollars to make sure you're complying with Davis-Bacon. You know, that's somewhere around 0.2%.
And the last one, clip 8, is a scan of the audience, people that were there present. There's no doubt that everybody heard about the Davis-Bacon Wage Act. There is no doubt that Commission knew it, Finance knew it, schools had to know it, I had to know it, everybody had to know it. No need for an investigation. I think it boils down, everybody just needs to do their job. When it comes to putting financial packages together, here again, once again, in my opinion, the question should be to the finance director, what do the schools want? Design us parameters in which we can fund that. And then bring it. Commissioners don't need to involve themselves with trying to work up a way to pay for it. That's the finance department. That's a highly technical field. We don't need to be bombarding Cumberland Securities, our financial advisor, with trying to manipulate resolutions and design different things. They're the finance advisor. They can tell us things. And then county commission has final say. The power rests with county commission. Either go with it or don't go with it. But let people that are paid to do their job or elected to do their job do their job. So there is no doubt who knew what, when, and where. Now, in addition to that, and I do have some handouts, handout that was in the packet of the September the 20th meeting that went to every county commissioner talks about the different bonds, and it plainly states on the QSCAP bonds, it states, and it's marked, all QSCAP funded projects must comply with the Davis-Bacon Wage Act. In addition to that, the recovery zone economic bonds, Davis-Bacon wage rates will apply. So if by chance anyone that was in attendance, a commissioner, me, finance advisor, whoever, fell asleep during the meeting, we received a handout. In addition to that, minutes on the pre-construction kickoff phase, they had multiple people in attendance, and I won't read over all of them, but it's in the packet. And by the way, we do have a special packet for every county commissioner that is here so that you can have it, take it home. If there's anyone else, if we run short, we'll be glad to supply anyone else with it, but county commission does have a packet up here. In addition, Mike Long, Jefferson County Government Finance Director, was present. Dr. Edmonds, Dale Gentry, Standard Banner, Anne Marie Potts, Chairwoman of the School Board. Then you had 2, 4, 5 people from Rittenbach Construction that were present at the pre-construction meeting. The notes from that meeting, item number 36, Mike Long stated Davis-Bacon wage scale will apply to the new high school. I don't remember how long our last county commission meeting was, but it was a darn long time, and quite a bit of time was devoted to investigation and find out Davis-Bacon Act. We've gone over it and over it and over it and over it and over it. I don't know who will do the investigation. I understand that county commission, I think, asked the budget committee to talk about it, but there it is. There's who knew about it. Now, the next portion that I want to talk about is the school bonds themselves. I've been consistent in my position on this issue from day one. Whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong, before I developed my position, I gave it a lot of serious thought and a lot of consideration. I gave a lot of thought to what this county needs. I don't look at this county from the viewpoint of a sheriff that's job is to provide law enforcement to the county, and he's concerned with that. I don't look at my job as a director of schools where I'm concerned with education, and that's the primary focus and duty of his responsibilities. I don't look at it from EMS standpoint that is worried about ambulance services and emergency services. As mayor, I have to look at it as a total picture, the entire pie, not a slice of it. I respect what everybody does for their own departments and how they look at it and the aggressiveness in which they do. But I've got to try to do the very best we can, whether I get listened to by county commission or not. And it's unfortunate that I'm in this position, but county commission has tied my hands because not once during the process, commission can pass those resolutions. And they can say, well, we don't care what the mayor says. We don't care what he thinks. But now it's time for the bonds to be signed. And by state law, the mayor has to execute those documents. And since there was no discussion throughout the whole process, and everybody wanted to do what they want to do without involving the office of the mayor, now it comes down to time, well, my hands are tied. I've compromised a lot since I've been in this position. And yeah, I understand that there's a lot of positions that I don't compromise on. But this is one issue that's totally gone astray. 16 reasons why at this time I am not likely to sign the bond documents. Number one is for years the school had neglected and failed to properly use funds given to them by county commission to take care of the maintenance of the schools. to blame county commission over and over. You've got to give us money, give us money, give us money. Every year, county commission gives the school boards money. We're hearing now that there are no doors on the bathroom stalls in the high school. 40 years ago, there were no doors on the bathroom doors anyhow. But if that's the case, and that's a big concern, why didn't somebody present that to county commission? Why was funds not provided, and why didn't they take care of it years ago? It's got a heat and air system. It's been there 40 years. I had to replace mine after 15. How long do you expect the heat and air system to last? Where's the request? Why wasn't it fought for? Number 2, some commissioners have repeatedly asked the school board to sit down with county commission and talk about this plan, the school building program, and see how it fits in with the finances of this county. Probably 5 different county commissioners have asked the school board that question in open meetings. And I know at one meeting where the chairwoman said, well, I don't see any purpose in us sitting down and meeting. Number 3, and I think what I'm saying, my narrative explains itself, but I could go back and say, well, we need a spirit of cooperation. We need to be working together. I mean, the school board, for example, will say right up front, and they're correct, we don't have to tell you how we're going to spend the money. It's your job to give it to us. Well, if we're giving them money and they're not spending it responsibly, that ought to be cut off. But I think what we're seeing here more and more and more is more money being given to them. Number 3, the school board has already spent and will incur from the time the school building program began until it's over with $5 to $6 million in architect fees. Now, I'm supposed to sign a document to give them more money when they've already spent $5, $6 million and will spend that much in architect fees? Is that responsible? I don't think the people expect me to do that. We talk about overcrowding at the high school. The most economical plan would have been to remove all the trailers, fix everything that needed to be fixed at the high school, and erect another building on the same land. And put your juniors and seniors in that new building with a cafeteria and let the freshmen and sophomores go to the existing school. You wouldn't have any additional transportation costs or anything else. Most economical plan. You don't want to do that? That school was designed for another pod. The only way you'd put up another pod is if you want to continue the overcrowding in that one building. So there are alternative ways to handle this situation. Number 5, 2 county commissioners presented discussion in a plan that would provide the school board with exactly what they're looking for, only save the county taxpayers approximately $10 million. And it was totally ignored. This is not a wealthy county. If somebody says we can do exactly what you want and save you $10 million, not to sit down and listen with an open mind, does that make sense? It doesn't to me. I think school board took funds that county commission had given them and they went out and they purchased land that I doubt if it was ever surveyed or appraised. They just went out and they bought the land. I have a pattern in my mind, whether it's right or whether it's wrong, nobody's corrected it, that we are not spending our money wisely and responsibly. Number 7, school board jumped all over starting that school out at Mount Horeb. I've had numerous calls from residents of Jefferson City and Andridge that don't want to transport their kids way out there. If you look at it, the new school is closer to Talbot than any other school. And Talbot is the only school in the system that's not overcrowded. I would have to question the wisdom in doing something like that, because that's taxpayer money that's being spent And I've got to wonder where the end is in sight for our taxes to continue to go up when we're spending $6 million on architects, building a school next to the only school that we've got that's not overcrowded, that's miles away from Jefferson City and miles away from Dandridge. The school board, although not required by law, out of a courtesy, I think, should have contacted the planning commission and said, we're going to erect a building here, there, or the other place. By state law, they don't have to go before the planning commission, but if you're going to build a house, you're going to build a subdivision, you're going to put up a business, you by law have to come to planning commission. It looks to me like we need more harmony and working together instead of all the divisiveness that we've got in this county, and try to get things on the right track. But it seems like everybody's leery about them losing their power and their control, because that's what we're involved with more than anything else. I think county commission and actions of school board have been questionable. It came up already about possible violation of sunshine law, whether it's legal, ethical, or moral. I think county business ought to be much more transparent. We've sat here and listened to county commissioners talk about transparency and then go ahead and try to get together, get the votes to get something done. Makes no sense. Listen, we've got people that are experts and trained and knowledgeable and schooled in finance. Let them do the financing. County commissioners run as legislators. Legislate. $25 million, this is 10, I'm coming down to the end. $25 million puts this county in debt for approximately $100 million. There is no doubt one of the major problems in our nation today is our finances, that we're in debt above what we can handle. And Jefferson County acts just like Washington. Going into debt for $100 million is not responsible. There's no way that you can say it's responsible. Let me read quotes from a county commissioner who and I butt heads quite a bit, but he does say some wise things from time to time, Commissioner Bob Beeler. In the January 17, 2012 County Commission meeting, this is what Mr. Beeler said. Let me tell you what the American way is on debt. You graduate from high school, you get a job. The first thing you do is buy a car on credit. Second thing you do is get married. The next thing you do is build a house on credit. Then when you get about 45, close to 50, you have to remodel your home. You have to go in debt again. When you get it paid off, you die. That's the American way. Well, there's a lot of humor in that, but there's also a lot of truth. And I would say Commissioner Beeler and I are closer to the last sentence in that than any other part. However, no matter how accurate that is, it's sad, because I believe it's our place, just like it's Washington's place, to leave our offices and our county in better shape than when we got here for the next generation to follow. And right now, it's in worse shape. It's not in better shape. So we have failed. And it's our obligation to make it better for those that follow us, and not a bigger mess to handle. Number 11, this current plan is relying heavily upon the proceeds from a lease agreement with HMA. HMA has been a wonderful addition to our community, and I look forward to a long, long relationship with them. They're financially sound, they're solvent, they're doing a lot of positive things to help expand the services that we receive here in Jefferson County. However, to rely on that as your cornerstone for a financial plan is risky. And I'll tell you why. Regardless of how financially strong they are today, you know who has more money than the Baptists, the Methodists, and the Presbyterians? And that's Rome, the Catholics. And St. Mary's, who we started with, is no longer there. So don't tell me there's not a danger of HMA moving out. Number 12, the current plan is going to result in an increase in property tax that I consider excessive. Will it happen this year? Everything's all tied in. But within the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see huge increases in property taxes just to maintain what you have. To say that this plan will not increase your taxes is a fallacy, because it may not to pay for the plan if you can structure it that way, but then every other operation has to stay just where it's at for the duration of that bond issue. No more cars for the sheriff, no more personnel, no more increase in cost for insurance or electricity or gas. It's not even feasible. Anybody that thinks that way doesn't even think with a financial background. Number 13, the action to approve funding on this project at the March 19, 2012 meeting did not even send it back to the Budget Committee. If you're a nonprofit and you come before this legislative body and you ask for $200, you know the first thing they're going to tell you? Well, did you go to the Budget Committee? Take it back to the Budget Committee. But yet, $25 million, skip the whole process. We're going to vote on it. That doesn't seem right. During the last commission meeting, it was shown that on the breakdown list of January the 5th, 2012, presented by Chairman of the Budget Committee, that over $300,000 or $2,000 are going to be spent on each internal door to high school to upgrade it and put door handles on it and hardware. Number 15, whether this is legal or not, I think it definitely borders on ethical and moral, conflict of interest. You've got about 6 county commissioners that are involved one way or another with the school system, get paid through the school system or have a very close family member there. Seems to me all but one did read a disclaimer. I mean, that brings it pretty close to home, where it just doesn't give you a real warm and fuzzy feeling. And number 16, there's been discussions that if I don't sign the bonds, I'm going to be sued and taken into court. Well, it won't be my first time. And although people say I'm controversial, and I am, I'd rather not be. But the last fight that I ran from, or ducked from, I was in the 2nd grade. And I'm too damn old to do it anymore. So if there's going to be a battle and there's going to be a fight, I'll welcome it. And we'll do what we have to do. But if any of my other 15 reasons not to sign would hold up in court, there is one that will. When you sign bonds, you have to sign one of the documents that is a signature and no litigation certificate. In order for those bonds to go to market and people to buy them, they have to know there's no pending or possible lawsuits. Well, if you're going to sue me, you're going to sue me on the grounds that I'm refusing to perjure myself. Because let me read to you what I have to sign. Item number 3. No litigation of any kind is pending or to the best interest or to the best of my information, knowledge, and belief threatened in either Tennessee or federal courts to restrain and enjoin the issuance, sale, execution, or delivery of these bonds. I've had chairman of the budget committee, I've had other county commissioners, I've had residents of this county that have told me if I sign it, they're going to bring about a lawsuit. Now, do you think I'm going to sign a document that says I don't know about any potential lawsuits when I've been informed of that? I won't perjure myself. I may not do what some people like, but I'm not going to perjure myself. Those are my 16 reasons that I doubt seriously I would sign a bond document today. Something needs to be done about this whole situation. I can't do it by myself. I need the cooperation of county commission. I need cooperation from others within this system to get something done. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a lot better for this county than what we've got right now, and I think we're capable of doing much better. Thank you very much.